What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the What the Fun Show. My name is Mike, and today we are doing a Season 1 recap of The Rings of Power from Amazon Prime. And we have a bunch of guests here. We got a special guest here. I'm going to introduce him first because he came up with the idea. That is Shareef Jackson. Shareef, it's good to have you back. It's been a minute. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Definitely didn't have any tech issues. Not at all. You know, I just had to forge a couple of small circular objects for my computer to start working well and record.
Put
and
in a new graphics card and everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. like like a mithril graphics card, and we're all good. We're good.
Wow, that'd be awesome.
The true ring of power.
The one true card. Yeah.
And of course we have Justin with us. How you doing today, Justin?
I'm good. I'm excited finally to talk about the season as a whole with friend of the show, Shareef Jackson, and also give our ratings at the end. Can't wait for that.
Joe's here. Joe Kelly.
That's
call
me.
him Jelly.
I'm doing well. I'm excited to do the season recap. I'm glad that Shareef had the idea because as we've done week to week, it's been really fun. But we haven't been able to talk about the story as a whole, and that seems like a missed opportunity. So Shareef, thank you for having that idea and being here so that we can do it.
Oh,
Yeah, for joining us. Thank you, Shareef. We'll get to you in a little bit. Let me do a little bit of housekeeping. If you are watching us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and like the video. Let us know down below in the comment section what you thought of Season 1 of Rings of Power. Please also leave a review on Apple Podcasts if you're listening to us. That really is the best way to help us out. On Spotify, you can leave us a star rating on mobile only. So do that there if you're listening there. And as usual, we have a bunch of shows from our feeds on the YouTube channel. Just go check them out. We have a bunch of spooky season stuff with Halloween franchise, with not Season of the Witch. That's Halloween 3 with witches from Hocus Pocus. Yeah,
Could
there
have
we
been
go.
better.
That's a trend. Yeah, I know. Yeah. We did Hocus Pocus review as well as the sequel, and we do have a special episode coming out this week with a friend of the show, Shanine Thompson. We're talking about the Halloween franchise. It is her first time ever watching it this past year. So we kind of do a pro versus amateur type podcast where me, the pro, it's my favorite franchise of all time, talks to a newbie to the franchise. So it was a really awesome conversation with her. Look forward to that podcast. Shareef, it's been a while. How you been? What you been up to? I know 1 year you've been a dad for 1 year basically.
yeah.
How's that feeling?
It feels I don't even know if it's really good words for it. Definitely tiring, of course, but also just feels really good, man. Like there's definitely the cliche of, nothing like looking at your son. I mean, is really true. Yeah, it's just been awesome. And obviously my relationship has changed with my life, my wife, everything, but it's all been for the better. So I'm just super happy to
Awesome.
be on this side of it. And obviously there's a lot more to go, but
the rest of
A
your life.
lot more life to go.
a lot more to go.
It never stops.
Speaking of a lot more, you've been doing a bunch of stuff with Rivals of Waterdeep. Tell us what you guys been up to.
Yeah, man. We're on season 14 of our campaign. We're playing, if you're familiar with the Spelljammer books, is what we're going through right now. And we're currently raising funds through a Indiegogo to fund our next few seasons so we can end our campaign at level 20 and kind of have like a bombastic ending that we would like to have on our terms, since we're losing our corporate support for the show in terms of like financial stuff. So I'll share the links and stuff. But yeah, it's a fun time every week. I really look forward to it.
So all of our listeners who are fans of D&D, head over there, take a listen. If you love it, support them. Kick them some cash so they can continue and make it to level 20.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. For sure. We'll have all those links down below in the description, so go check that out. Support our friend while you're listening here, and then go check out Rivals of Waterdeep. They have an awesome show there, awesome production, and it's D&D. Who doesn't love D&D? So, all right. Rings of Power, guys. This show, we've loved it. Joe's been optimistic about it. And Shareef, I don't know your ratings, so I'm really excited to hear from you. And we will be getting into all the spoilers. So yes, if you have not seen Rings of Power, please just do that. Go see it before we get into it. But we're gonna give you a little treat here. Justin really wanted Joe's patent pending season 1 spoiler-free review. Let's hear it. This is the only spoiler-free review we're getting. So Joe, we need a full season patent pending spoiler-free from you.
All right, here we go. Ladies, gentlemen, hobbits, and horrorfoots, if you're listening to this and you are interested in watching Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, can I just tell you that you should? That's it.
All right, you you heard it here first.
That was perfect.
This is your official spoiler warning.
Now, when
There
you come
go,
back,
Justin. I added it for
when
you.
you come back and you say, if you haven't seen it, stop here. You should say, if you haven't seen it, you shall not pass.
Okay, I'll do it.
You shall not pass.
All right, that was your official spoiler warning. If you have not seen season 1 of Rings of Power, you shall not pass any more into this podcast. Stop what you're doing. Go watch the season. All right, guys, we're going to start with our favorite episodes and just kind of talk about what we thought of that episode. And so, Justin, I'm going to go your way first. What was your favorite episode of the entire season?
I'm going to have to go with episode 6, Udin. This was a action-filled episode from start to finish. We had some great character development with Theo and his mom, and also Adar and Adar as well. We had a lot of characters in this that really strutted their stuff where they hit the highest points of their, acting. And then you got some creepy stuff with Theo and a chase scene with great cinematography. It really rounded out as kind of like a perfect episode in my book.
Awesome. That was episode 6, Udun. I think that's how you pronounce it. Joe, your favorite episode of the season?
It's going to be episode 7. I was informed. Now I described it earlier and I thought it was 5, but it wasn't 5. It's 7. And it was the one that kind of helped save the series for me. As far as stories go, they gave me all the story, which is what I want. I'm not the action guy. I'm not the relationships, romance things. Relationships are important, friendships and stuff like that. I love those. I'm just not huge on forced relationships in these series. So it didn't have a lot of that. It had a lot of relational building and storytelling, and that was perfect for me. So it was The Eye. It was episode 7. It was a lot of story, and it was perfect for me. The Eye.
The Eye. Shareef, what was your favorite episode of the season?
I say Udun was definitely my favorite, but I think also one that was probably my favorite until that one was The Great Wave, episode 4. I really liked the setups on there. That was because I love all the scenes in like a Numenor. I'm a big fan of, so like I really like how they dug into that. I love Muriel. She's a great, and I also liked how they this is still where I had a lot of questions about Theo and about who Theo is. And like this episode really dug into that, and they kind of introduced like the mithril stuff as well. So I tend to prefer the episodes where they're introducing things and you're still like speculating on like
leading up to it.
So I think
okay.
So the great
dropping
waves.
Plot points here and there for you. You're like, okay, I'll pick that up. I'll pick that up too.
I wonder where it's gonna go.
Little story beats.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Man, it's really hard to pick. I really did enjoy this entire season. I was kind of glued to the television, but I think Udun is my favorite episode. I think that it had the high stakes that we were kind of searching for throughout the beginning of the season, and it had awesome fight scenes. It also had very good and compelling story beats within those action scenes. Like it wasn't just an action heavy episode, because it although that is probably our highest action episode, it still hit those things where you're seeing Edorin, the elf, who is trying to get these Southlanders to a point where we're going to defend. This is our area. We're going to defend it. And for the most part, they did a good job until they were okey doked and they were, shown that they were actually killing their fellow Southlanders. Or, it's Arendir, by the way. I misspoke. I don't know names this episode. So yeah, I think Udun is my favorite episode of the season, but I do have to say that the finale is a very close second. I love all the set pieces in that, and we'll get to the finale and some of the reveals there for sure. But I want to go into this, and I'm gonna go Joe's way first, because he is the most
reserved.
He's the most no, not reserved. He's the mysterious one when it comes to this. Who's your favorite character?
Oh, okay. That's fair. I have not really been open about who my favorite character is on this. We all know that I'm not a fan of Galadriel. Not a huge fan of Elrond. Honestly, I really haven't given thought to it. If I had to choose, probably Nori. I think she takes it by a good margin. She's so far for me had the most interesting story, as far as I don't know what it's going to be, but they've given me a lot to guess about. What she'll do, what her role's going to be, how important she'll be. Obviously I love wizards, big nerd about that stuff. So she's the wizard's traveling companion. So we're going to have more of that. She is selfless and caring, but also adventurous and a little bit of a troublemaker. So I kind of see myself in her a lot. So yeah, Nori is probably my favorite character.
All right, Shareef, favorite character of the whole series. We got one for Nori.
Yeah, Nori's definitely the heart of the show. I do love Nori as well. But I think just edging just above Nori for me is Prince Durin. I really, in the whole Lord of the Rings, in the movies, like the dwarves are kind of like, it's seen as sort of like they were great in the past, right? So I loved kind of seeing them at their height and seeing Durin dealing with, all the issues of not only being like a prince, but like having this strained friendship with a race of people that the dwarves hate, so I feel like he was just a super complex character in like all his scenes. I feel like he just like owned them and like a really brought a lot of like emotional energy to them. So like he would be my favorite.
And I'm gonna go next, Justin, just really quick, because my favorite character is Elrond, and it kind of goes with Shareef there. That's why I want to bring it up. The dynamic that you get from Elrond and Durin is awesome in this show. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It goes back, we've talked about it before, but it goes back to that sort of relationship you get with Legolas and Gimli in the original trilogy, just like this fun sort of brotherhood that you saw continue to grow throughout each and every episode that they were in. I love their playful tactics that they had towards one another. I loved their let's just put it plainly, I loved their love for each other, and it was a love that did not have any borders. It went past the boundaries. Obviously his King Durin was like, yo, this elf, he needs to get out of my house, that type of thing. And Prince Durin was like, I'm going to stick up for my friend. And Elrond really reciprocated that, and which is what I really, really enjoyed. So, Justin, favorite character of the show?
Calling back, Aragorn is not in the show, right? I know we mentioned that slightly.
No, they go in Aragorn.
Yeah, they go in Aragorn.
Yeah, okay. So I can't pick that as my favorite, but you did allude to mine. You did say Legolas in your description, Mike, and mine is the guy I can't remember the name of, but I love his character, and that's Arendir. Arendir. Yeah, I think that he really is the Legolas of this show, and the amount of action that he has and the amount of skills that he has at his disposal are even greater than Galadriel, I think. And I feel like he shares that relationship bonding as well. So he's got multiple layers of this character that we're learning about, and also really, really portraying it in a very beneficial way. And it doesn't really take us out. So I think Arendir, that's my favorite. Sorry.
Okay, Shareef, I'm going to go to your way first because I just thought of, I think, a pretty compelling follow-up question to what we just said all our favorite characters, and Galadriel seems to be the focus. Is that sort of kind of a problem that we didn't lean towards Galadriel, or do you think that just her character is not necessarily fully fleshed out because we are going to see her in seasons upcoming?
I mean, I think she's fleshed out. I just think she was written intentionally to be abrasive and not likable. Which is, I mean, I think it was a creative decision. I think some people will agree or disagree with that because obviously they're always thinking of the Peter Jackson movies. But I think they really wanted to show you how someone who is essentially immortal can change significantly over eras, right? Over ages. She's dealing with the death of her brother. She's dealing with this just insatiable appetite, can't quit, can't stop the fight. She rejects, elf heaven. I always forget the name. Valinor. Valinor. Yeah, exactly.
Is it? Am I wrong, Joe?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. You just had a face.
I just like calling it elf heaven because I feel like that's
I like elf heaven. Yeah, you said it, and I was like, I kind of like that. I like elf heaven.
I would have jumped.
So I appreciate them what they're doing with her because it's really hard to make an unlikable female character in media. It's one of those things where you really have to have good showrunners and good writers to make them, a unlikable person that you can still understand their motives and they still feel like a real character. So yeah, I think she was designed not to be people's favorite.
Okay, I hear you on that. Justin, you got anything?
Yeah, she is by no means the worst character, which I'm sure we're going to roll into our least favorite character. But I feel like her strong points weren't as high as other characters' strong points, and she was written kind of as a filler with good motive throughout. So I feel like that's why she didn't really hit a lot of our top lists. But by no means is she bad at any means. In my opinion, Joe might be different, of course, but for us, we see her as a very beneficial character to the series.
Justin gave us a segue. Let's roll into it. Joe, Galadriel's your least favorite character, right?
I do not like her. I don't like her character. I understand why she's there. And if Shareef is right and they wrote her to be disliked, then good job, because I can't stand I'm a whiny, revenge-filled little brat who was daddy's little princess and got everything I wanted, and now I'm supposedly a badass warrior. Sorry, I'm going to have to bleep myself out there. Supposedly a really good warrior that we've never seen any instance of except for one moment with a snow troll or mountain troll in the very beginning, and she took on some humans after thousands of years of practice, which they didn't have. I just am not convinced of how good her character is. I don't love her. We know this. I don't know if she's my least favorite, but darn, she's up there.
Justin, do you have a least favorite character?
Come back to me. I'm really debating which one it is. Go over to Shareef.
Okay. All right, Shareef. I got one if you don't have one, Shareef.
There's a couple. I don't know if I could pick an absolute least favorite. I really don't like what's his name? Farazan and Kemen.
Oh yeah.
I feel like they're just I don't want to make a House of the Dragon reference, but they're
do it.
They're just like those I'm only in there to use people to get to get myself ahead. I don't really care about the people.
And that's the regent's cousin, right? Their advisor, right? That's him?
Yeah. And his son was the one that tried to blow up the
okay.
He did blow up the
definitely blew it up.
yeah. Like they just seem so slimy to me, and so yeah, I'm definitely not.
To be honest, I totally forgot about them. Like I don't know, like I feel like they veered so much far from Numenor, in the last couple episodes that I just completely forgot of their.
I thought they were gonna. I thought Kemen, especially because he was connected with Elendil's daughter, that he was gonna be a bigger, bigger in it. But you're right. They kind of phased.
I think that's
away
next
from them
season. I think they were hinting towards next season with all the drops there. Specifically this season as a whole, Numenor is not a focal point except for the one episode and then a couple like snapbacks to it. So they have that one episode, which is your favorite, which is understandable. Great episode. A lot of good Numenor stuff in there. But then after that, they kind of just have these little snippets of like, okay, here's kind of what's going on behind the scenes. Like the king's not doing real great. Farazan's making moves. And then in the last episode, we have like, okay, they're headed back there for maybe we'll see when they get back there next season. And that was it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, I totally get it. I'll make the reference. He's Littlefinger, the Game of Thrones. And if you want to make a House of the Dragon, he is, the High Garden, Otto. Or High Tower.
That's exactly what I was thinking, more of Otto. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Justin, least favorite character?
I think I'm going to have to go with Gil-galad. For character points. I think Gil-galad really
King of the Elves.
Is pushing Elrond, is pushing the elves to make choices that are really against what us as viewers want. And I think that's what does it for me. It was tough, but I think that's where I'm sitting with my least favorite, Gil-galad. I just felt he said some great things, great quotes for sure, but just like his way of dictating and trying to make people do what he wants for the greater good of elves really goes against a lot of our views. So I think that's where I'm sitting.
That's why I love Elrond so much, because in the finale he like re-quoted Gil-galad, was like, yo, if you're gonna throw hope in my face, I'm gonna throw it back in your face, and we're gonna make these dang rings. And that's why I love so much.
Well, the best part is that's Elrond's words the whole time. Gil-galad was just reading Elrond's speech that he wrote for him. And so he took his own words and threw the words that he wrote for the king back, and he took his own words and threw them in the king's face again, essentially. I like that point too. So he got to do it twice. He got to use his words. He got to manipulate the king and make the king say his words. And then he got to throw his own words in the king's face one more time.
I think my least favorite is King Durin. And the reason being is because they stopped. He was like the biggest antagonist to my favorite relationship in the show. Okay. I mean, I think he's a good character for the show, and obviously he works and is necessary for that sort of dynamic to happen. But man, just leave Elrond and Durin alone, bro. Like, come on.
Stop messing up the bromance.
Trying to hang out.
Seriously. But I guess if I had to choose somebody that was very intricate kind of to the story, Theo, we don't know where he's gonna go. But
I like that though.
Also, well, yeah, I do, but like also, I sort of agree with Joe a little bit that he was like just this like whiny little person, in certain areas, and like also
not making with a bowl cut.
He is a child,
not making the best decisions.
He's of that age.
I understand. Gosh, both of you.
Theo and Galadriel.
Like if it was a full-fledged adult making those same choices, we'd question that. But since he is a youngling in this situation and being thrown into into the lions pretty much, I believe that he is. He could go either light side or dark side. It's really up in the air. So I feel like that's why I didn't list him, because I felt like he has so much growth available, or the opposite, that I'm interested in that. I'm sure Shareef agrees with that.
I mean, that's why King Durin is the worst, so that's why I chose him. All right. Anyway, okay. Favorite set piece of the whole show. I mean, this show was so like cinematography heavy, like just a bunch of awesome set pieces. Shareef, can you think of one that like really, really stood out for you?
I mean, it's probably the most beautiful show I've ever seen on TV.
Mhm.
Are you kidding me? Like, yes.
Like, yeah, and like I don't even have like a new fancy like TV that probably shows it even better. I mean, I have a 4K TV, but I don't have like a like mine's
It's
from like a
not
couple
like an
years ago.
OLED
4K.
or something.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's definitely the most. I mean, it's kind of hard to even.
Okay, pick a couple then. Pick a
I
couple.
mean, I'll
then. I'm
yeah,
okay with
yeah.
it.
I'll say as corny as it is, I loved when like they were riding the horses the first time
Oh God.
in like slow motion.
No.
You've listened to our review of
Yes,
that episode.
yes, I definitely
Shareef.
have.
All respect.
Yeah, it was super goofy,
Objection.
but it was beautiful.
Oh,
It
it
was
was
super
absolutely
goofy.
beautiful.
Yeah, it was super
absolutely-
goofy, and the horses were smiling. But
So
but,
was she.
It
in slow motion.
But yeah, it was beautiful though, man. I
was,
like
it
rewound it
was.
a couple of times. I was like, yo, wow, this is incredible. I also really liked, even though there weren't a lot of them, I like the just like the shots of like Isidore and like his boys on the ship.
Oh yeah.
Trying to make the Sea Guard. I just like the background actors, like not only just like the water. It just really felt like I was in there. Like I really felt like I was like, like I was trying to see what every person was doing, and it looked like they were all like it was just choreographed, like
Yeah. It makes me want
really well.
It makes me want a Assassin's Creed Black Flag movie.
Yeah.
It really does, because the amount of details that they went into on that boat alone really showed that it was like choreographed. Everyone was doing their own thing and doing it really well to make it fit perfectly with the scene. I agree with you.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And,
Justin, roll. Oh yeah, go ahead, Shareef. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, and the final one is like when the tower fell. When Arndir knocked
Yeah.
the
Oh,
tower
yeah.
down.
We bamboozled the
good stuff.
orcs.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
cool.
that was pretty sweet.
I'm gonna
Justin,
go,
roll into some set pieces.
yeah, I'm gonna go all the way back to episode 2 when we first saw the
Riding horses.
The Dwarven City. We saw the Dwarven City in all of its glory, and we haven't really seen it fully fledged out, and with populations throughout, and to see that beauty is just something else. And we saw more of that throughout each episode as we saw Prince Durin. But that was a big one for me. The next big one for me was not the horse riding, but it was when the boats first went to Numenor, and you saw the sails go up and they go under the archway, and you saw the city of Numenor, and it was just beautiful. The sunlight and the gleaming, glistening white columns. It looks so good. This show has so many. I would be just listing them all, minus the horse riding. But yeah, those are two of my favorites.
Joe, go ahead. Some set pieces.
I'm just gonna echo these guys. The show so far has been one of the and we expect this, right? We knew what was coming. We have a Lord of the Rings piece again. They're going to use some of the most beautiful scenery and places on the planet to film. So we're going to have these beautiful, majestic, just enchanting areas. I like the simpler ones. I loved all of the Harfoot scenes. I love seeing the hillsides, the rolling hills, the kind of fauna that exists here. And I like watching them exist in it. And the fact that they had to kind of make them seem small makes me think that they were using places where they had to add extra large things in there so that the hobbits looked smaller, and I didn't notice it.
Harfoots.
Right? They just the Harfoots. Now,
How dare you? We are purists here.
Yeah, look at me disrespecting these guys. These hairy-footed little creatures. So I love seeing all of those areas. I love seeing the real beauty of we're seeing the beauty of Middle Earth, but these are places where we live. Like we can go to some of these locations and look at the beauty there. The Southlands, we can travel there. It's expensive and we'll have to take a long, flight for us here in America. But like we can visit some of these areas. And I love the fact that like they show them in such a way that it's like, okay, I would go there tomorrow if someone gave me a check. Like I will fly right there. I would travel to the Southlands. I would visit
straight to New Zealand.
Exactly. Straight to New Zealand. I would go straight there and I would just enjoy all of it. Specifics, I've given it a lot of grief. Episode 1 though, I liked watching them in the snow on the mountain, discovering the castle. I liked the castle there. I thought it was really cool. Inside done well. The you see like the reliefs of all the creepy creatures in the wall and stuff like that. Like I think that that's really cool. I really enjoyed that. And the fact that they gave it like episode 1, I was like, okay, that works for me. Like that was great. All of the fire scenes. So with the Balrog, with the exploding volcano,
The Coven.
we know these were CG, but oh my God, were they beautiful. Like,
can I actually jump in, Joe?
Yeah.
Because my favorite set piece is that fight between the 3 witches
And the stranger.
the wraiths and the stranger. Like, obviously it's not, your focus is on the fight, but just looking around at this like foresty environment, and then obviously coupled with what you said, you had the fire, and then like the fire dissipating when the stranger gets the staff. Like that is probably my favorite like set piece, my favorite area within this whole series. I did really enjoy the sailboats going into Numenor. I thought that was awesome as well. But also, a very close second, actually, is
The horse riding.
Aragorn.
Yeah, Aragorn. Is when Sauron is walking down and going to Mordor, going to the mountain. Like it was gorgeous. Like it was gross, but it was also gorgeous. Like it was dead, but it was also gorgeous. Like it was just awesome. Yeah. Speaking of Sauron, let's get into the plot, guys. Let's get into the thick of it. Shareef, what did you think of the story? What story beats really stood out to you? Did you enjoy sort of the focus on Galadriel and her hunt for Sauron? Like, what really stuck out to you with this plot?
I guess as kind of hinted at by who my favorite character is, it was really those one-on-one relationships that really kept me going. So like obviously Durin and like Elrond, also Galadriel and like a Halbrand as well. I thought that like their scenes were like great. And Orindir and Borowin as as well.
Broadsword.
I think I mispronounced her name, but
Bronwyn.
Broadsword.
Yeah.
It's not broadsword. Stop it.
Broadsword. I really, I'm kind of a sucker for that, like, will they, won't they kind of hallmarky kind of thing,
You like romance.
I do.
That's why our deer
know
hit
what
so
you're
high for
hinting
me.
at.
That's why.
I
That's
hear
why
you
I
guys.
there.
I don't dislike romance.
like there were.
Yes, you do.
There were just so many great unsaid moments where they looked like they were going to clasp hands, but they didn't, or they shared an eye glance and kind of looked away. Like all that stuff was done super, super well. Like they didn't have to write in their feelings, like they showed it, in like so many ways. And I thought that like that was really, really dope. As far as focusing on Galadriel, I think they did need some. Like I get why they chose it to be that way. And again, I think it was pretty courageous because, as I said, like, I don't think anyone probably comes out of this as a huge fan of Galadriel. But it's more about to me the like driving thing is, does Morgoth still have influence here? Whether it's Galadriel looking or like somebody else looking, like to me that's like less important than is Sauron here early? Who is Sauron? That's really what like kept me going, was like I was constantly trying to guess who it was going to be.
Yeah. Joe, Shareef mentioned something. Galadriel is the focus, and they chose it. It was kind of courageous, especially coming off movies where a Hobbit, or in Rings of Power's case, a Harfoot was sort of the focus of the movies. And that is the complete antithesis of what you like. You probably would have enjoyed if maybe Nori was more so the focus throughout this Rings of Power than Galadriel, wouldn't you think?
Yes. Well, they pulled this like Game of Thrones, right? We have several different stories all happening at the same time with different characters, and they're introducing and building relationships not between all of them, but amongst themselves until they eventually will join. But like
the original Lord of the Rings.
Kind of, yes and no. I mean, they started off together and then split, whereas this one they all start off separate and will most likely eventually come together, which is why I chose Game of Thrones, because they all start off separate and then bring together. Anyways, into the weeds here. I think they did it on purpose. I like that they did it this way. I love that they gave us a bunch of different story threads and they're just weaving them slowly together. Because we're introduced to them, almost every character individually first. We meet Galadriel and she's with her team. So she's not even with elves that stay there. We meet Halbrand on his own. He's on a raft. We meet Durin and in a meeting with Elrond. We meet Gil-galad with Elrond, but kind of separate first. We meet Nori, and then we're introduced to her friend after that. Everyone's kind of introduced by themselves, and then they slowly take each one of those threads and then weave it right where it should be amongst first their own lot. So they have a single thread to a cord, and then eventually they're going to weave those cords into a cable. So I think that Galadriel has her purpose. I don't like her. Yes, we know that. But I don't think she doesn't serve a purpose. I know she has a purpose here. I know that it's important to the show. I just don't like her. If Nori was the focus, then I don't think I would like her anymore. I already like her character. I just think that they ran this show as this is Galadriel's show. And I think maybe just the marketing was bad. I didn't watch any thing about it beforehand.
You can't say anything bad when you didn't watch it.
So I assumed that it was Galadriel's show, and it turns out it's actually just a show about everyone, and she's just not my favorite character.
Yeah, Justin, favorite story threads. What you got?
So I wanna talk about a little bit of the stuff that Joe mentioned, because with show writing, with script writing for shows, it's way more beneficial to start off characters separate. For movies, obviously you want to have everyone on the screen instantly, so that way everyone gets known by the fans, because you're only going to have 2 hours at most to explain those story beats. So in this show, because it is 8 episodes right now and 5 seasons long that we know, you're able to separate those and learn about them individually, so that way for the show at the end, they mean so much more because we've learned each of those characters in depth. So I like that writing technique for shows in versus movies. Mm-hmm. With Galadriel, I know we've mentioned that at the beginning of the show, it almost felt like it was a revenge story. And then towards the end of the season, we learned it was more about for the greater good and less about her brother and revenge, which I like. I think that's okay. And I'm excited to see it continue. What I've really been thinking about is Halbrand a lot. I know we're going to get there. Halbrand.
Oh, we'll get there.
He's been in it since the beginning. And one of the biggest things was people were like, there's no Sauron in the show. There's no Sauron. But the writers had us guessing throughout the entire show. And then at the end, they reveal that a character that has been in there since day one has been said person.
Day 2.
Yeah.
He was in episode 2, but
you get what I'm saying.
Also, that story did not change.
No, I understand.
Still about revenge.
I understand
for her.
exactly. You just don't you don't really know. That's why episode 8, the finale, was so powerful in the beginning for me, because they subverted your expectations with starting with revealing that the stranger is Sauron. And yeah, and then you just get a wild finale to go after that. We'll talk about the finale in a little bit. I want to get your guys' take on this because one of the plot threads that I thought was very interesting, and it's not even a character, but it's the purpose and the importance of Mithril throughout this whole entire journey, and how much of a sort of character this element is. I thought that was very interesting that they took that step to make it such a focal point. And obviously we get to the finale where they utilize Mithril to create some of the rings. But yeah, what did you guys think about having Mithril, this element, as one of the main focuses for a lot of the characters? We'll go Shareef first.
I thought it was cool because it helped, my favorite relationship of Duran and of Duran and Elrond. It totally fit in that the dwarves would want to keep something that they mined, right? And the elves were kind of out of desperation, looking for something to save the tree and extend their lives. I honestly didn't think it played, I guess, as big of a factor as you are saying. I mean, I think it was definitely important. I've obviously used for the rings, but I didn't think it was. I thought it was cool that it was in there, but I didn't think it was critical to my enjoyment of the show, at least. Or
yeah, I guess maybe I misspoke. I don't know if it was critical, but I didn't expect this to sort of be a focal point in a lot of the episodes. Really. Just didn't expect it. Justin, you're kind of nodding your head.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. It's one of those nods to the past, things that we've known, but learning more about it and getting a more story to go along with the character, or in this case, the metal. Mithril, we knew it was tough and light. That's what we knew, but we didn't know it had the ability to cure things. Just the metal as itself has the ability to cure the blight on that leaf. So that's crazy. Like, to think that this metal has the magical traits of healing, and Frodo was wearing a mithril, the whole time for the most part. And he got stabbed a bunch of times. So was it the mithril helping heal him? We don't know. Right. But it could have been. And that's really adding more depth to the story that we already knew and love. So I love it. I love this whole elves trying to keep it for themselves, and or dwarves trying to keep it for themselves, and elves wanting it, and them working together. I love that story beat, and I really think that we're going to learn more effects of this mithril coming up soon.
Joe, thoughts?
A lot. So we're first introduced to mithril as a suit of armor, chainmail, that is given as a reward to Bilbo, and we don't understand its importance. Mm-hmm. And then Bilbo hands it over to Frodo, and we still don't understand its importance. They say, oh, it's one of their greatest treasures. And that's what we get. And then we go, oh, it's worth more than all of the entire Shire combined. And we're like, okay, it's valuable. But we still don't understand its importance. And finally, in this show, we understand its importance a little bit. To at least the cinematic world of Lord of the Rings, we understand why mithril is important, why it is so sought after, and it's because it's not just a metal, right? There's a story behind it. The fight of the elf versus the Balrog, and the life force and the energy, and it is like the Valar in actual physical form. So it's no wonder that it can do all these things. It's no wonder it has all of these crazy traits that make it strong and light and have the ability to heal, and we finally have understanding on it. And I think that's really cool, because up until this point it's been chainmail that doesn't get stabbed by a troll. Good job, way to be strong, chainmail. And it's cool. And then the idea that there's so little of it originally, or they haven't mined that much in this series, but in Lord of the Rings, we have an entire chainmail shirt made out of mithril. We know they went in after that mithril. We know they started harvesting. We know that for a few reasons, but it doesn't play a huge role, but I think the importance is finally understood.
Yeah, I definitely I want to say that it is very similar, I think, in one of the positive things from the Hobbit trilogy is where we got the backstory of Sting and got to know Sting, the Blade. And so that way, in the original that we know and love, we know so much more about it, and it feels so much more gratifying to see it be used. So it really is that one thing, one of the few things from the Hobbit trilogy that was correct. And they really brought that in with something much larger, which is a metal alloy.
Joe, bring us into a story beat you want us to chat before we talk about finale, and then we'll end with where we think the show is going to go.
Oh gosh, I mean, we haven't really touched on the Stranger.
Sure,
so
let's do
the
it.
Stranger, we are introduced to him early on. He is a being that literally fell from the stars. Fiery comet hits the earth. Boom. Nori finds him and her friend, whose name I'm not going to remember at the moment. Poppy Brandyfoot.
Hey!
I don't know.
You
It's
know a
happening.
name.
It's happening.
But yeah, so she discovers a giant who falls from the stars as a comet. Boom, explodes, fire everywhere. Cool symbol in the ground. He's
Clark Kent.
sitting there, kind of. And then
I did think of you when I saw that, man.
I thought of myself
because I know your favorite is Superman. I literally thought Clark Kent, and I was like, Justin's gonna love this. Yes. Anyway, go ahead, Joe.
and it was great, right? It was. I mean, he didn't fall in a spaceship; he just fell as a being. But we're introduced to the Stranger, and I love magic. I love high fantasy. I love wizards. So obviously right up my alley. I was like, okay, cool. This guy he's obviously a supernatural
wizard,
being.
Stranger.
He fell from the stars. He's going to be important.
No.
And then we get these little beats of, is he good? Is he bad? And I loved the way they walked through his story, super slow for us. Didn't give much of anything. They just gave Nori the opportunity to be kind to a stranger, which I'm huge, that's giant for me.
Yeah.
So I loved that beat. I loved that there was a cost to his magic, with the fireflies, with healing his arm, with him, doing the ground pound. It hurt his arm. Everything sort of had this balance of, okay, I can do these things, but there will be a cost to it. And it seemed that every time there was one, that cost was pretty negative to Nori or the Harfoots or other beings that he cared about, or himself. And so as we walk through,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. As we walk through the journey of this stranger, we are introduced to a character who we don't understand on purpose, and then finally in the finale, we understand. We get purpose. We get understanding about who he is, why he's there, and what his role is been up until that point, but not really going forward.
Shareef, the Stranger.
I struggled a lot with the Stranger in this season. I think it took a little too long to develop the Stranger. I feel like the kind of, whoa, who am I? What am I doing here? Let me find out this weird thing went on for a little too long. I like where they ended with it. I love the Stranger in the finale. But I feel like they could have cut like him out of 2 or 3 episodes. Okay, I feel like I feel like he existed just to give Nori like the ultimate problem or the ultimate like non-Harfoot thing to deal with, and I feel like they could have done that with something else.
Unexpected journey.
Yeah, like her. Thanks, Mike.
No problem.
Like her dad like broke his ankle, right? She could have went out to look for medicine in some dangerous area, or she could have there's other things that they could have done to proven that she is not the average Harfoot. And I feel like the Stranger for most of that part was just, we're just gonna have you there to give her a problem to solve. I like that he's in here. I think it's cool. Obviously gave another like Sauron possibility. But I feel like they could have, I feel like it just went on a little too long to where it was getting a little long in the tooth until they wrapped it up in the, well, not wrapped it up in the finale, but they gave more instinct. Actually gave him words.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he could speak.
Finally.
You know, and yeah. So like, I definitely struggled through with him through, I would say, the middle part of the season.
Yeah.
But like, I do like where they ended.
I think I'm with you. I think it was a little slow burn. Justin, you on that same path?
Yeah, I think that they definitely took their time with him, and I'm worried that they did that just to keep us guessing about if he was Sauron, and that was a concept a lot of people were fighting for. They were like, oh, he's Sauron throughout the entire thing because of the cost. You know, trying to help something and hurting it instead. That was a sign that he could be evil, and I think they did that to really give us that hook on the episode 8. And I think they could have done that earlier. Sure, they wanted to keep us guessing because no one expected who Sauron was. Really, if you did that, you're a genius, number one. I didn't. But like, it really gave us like that question of, we're watching Sauron unfold, but it's not Sauron. But like, I liked The Stranger. I don't care. I liked all of his little story beats that they sprinkled in. It was a little slow burn, but it was enjoyable throughout. And I really think that they did a good job. I even when he was called Sauron in the season finale, I was like, I don't believe these witches.
Yeah, because you thought he was Radagast.
That was a thought, but that got definitely killed very quickly.
So the Sanderson sisters, right? You know, they're there. They think this guy is Lord Sauron. And yeah, let's just get into their backstory. So that, I mean, Joe, you're our lore expert here. We do come to find, well, you're our lore more of an expert than we are here. We come to find in the finale that they share similar things to the ring race that we know of from, you know, the Lord of the Rings proper. So what do you got on them?
I don't think they're ring race, but I do think that they're part of Morgoth's army, which, you know, we have the Witch King, who was the head ring wraith. I think that these beings, whatever they are, were wraiths made by Morgoth. Probably part of his army, who, when he fell, Sauron kind of took over, and now they're looking for a new leader. And obviously they, you know, leadership falls to Sauron, who was Morgoth's right-hand man. Though Morgoth and Sauron have different goals. Sauron was to join everyone together underneath him, while Morgoth was to destroy everything. Because, I don't know, that's just how the lore goes.
Cool.
You know, I think that they're where the Witch King and the Wraiths originate from. That's where the idea came from, I think.
Okay. Cool. We are running a little bit long, so let's get into the finale and some of the reveals. Shareef, let's go your way first. What did you think of the finale, and were you satisfied with the season 1 conclusion?
Well, the finale was great. I love him as a character, but I loved Sardok's sort of fate in this. I thought he was they didn't develop him a lot, but I thought that what he had, he did really well with.
It was satisfying. Yep.
Yeah, and I just love how all the Harfoots, they don't understand why Nori is this way, but they still came together and say, no, this is something that you have to do. I thought that was really, really cool and like really moving. Like to have to, you know, say goodbye to like someone, even though you don't 100% understand their motives or 100% understand this thing with the stranger. I thought that was a dope. I love how they ended the series too on Nori and the stranger, even though they weren't necessarily the focus of a lot of those later episodes. I think that shows like, hey, like next season we're really digging into, you know, into their journey, right? Into their unexpected journey, as you say.
I hope so.
Yeah, Joe hopes so, for sure.
Yeah, and I was just happy with, just about almost everything. I mean, I was really happy with how they wrapped this up. Like I was a little worried with how they were going to end this. Especially after Mount Doom was created, I was like, well, that seemed like an ending. So what are they going to do after this?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Justin, you hinted at our good buddy Halbrand earlier and how we just didn't know who this Joe was,
Yeah.
and we come to find out a lot of things. No, you're Joe. Sorry. This Joe Schmo, I should have said. Just to talk about Halbrand. Gosh, move the podcast along.
Well, let's go back to when we first had him at Numenor, right? He tried to trick one of the people in the bar to give him the smithing pin, right? And it didn't work out. Okay. And then he got caught in the alleyway and beat the crap out of these people. Great action fight scene, fisticuffs, great. But
I think that's your favorite word.
He took on these 3 people with flying colors, right? And won. That showed him weak, right? So that immediately showed us this human character is weak. And we're never, ever going to even think or suspect that this guy is going to turn into what we know and love as Sauron.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's crazy.
Pull back the veil.
It's crazy that we are able to see that now, right? And look back and be like, he was weak, but he's also ultimate evil in the show.
Yeah.
I like it. I really like it because we get to see Sauron as a human. We get to see him as what he was before. And we didn't notice it, which means these characters are definitely not noticing it as much as we didn't. Galadriel, she's onto something.
Eventually
right?
did. Yeah.
But most of these characters don't see it. And that only makes this more intense for us to see that character within the entire group of characters that we have, and none of them are suspecting a thing.
Yeah.
Great character development, great acting.
We kind of suspect it, right?
We had hints, right? We always had hints because we were questioning who is Sauron. And there were other hints on other characters as well. So it was really throwing our guesses up in the air. And that's why it was such great writing to lead us to that finale. That was perfect, in my opinion.
And that's why I say that it was so important to subvert your expectations right at the start of that episode and have the stranger be painted as Sauron, right? Because that reveal when Halbrand is talking to Galadriel, when Galadriel confronts him, that reveal to me was just so perfect. And I know I've talked to Joe individually outside of the podcast, and he sort of knew that Halbrand was gonna do that. He picked up on a couple things, but I think it was late in the season when you picked up on those things. I don't think it was.
Yeah, it wasn't until that episode that I was sure, or till maybe the end of the last one. Whenever they travel to Aragorn, aka Aragon. It was then when he was introduced to the Smith.
That was in the finale.
Yeah, it's only because I watched the I watched nerdy lore videos on YouTube, and I know that Sauron was there and he helped create the rings, but then he was kicked out before he knew, before they caught on, and then they made 3 rings in secret that he didn't know about, but he was integral to understanding how to work the metal. And so when he's like, oh, just try this, I was like, oh shoot, okay. I know exactly who that is.
Yeah. You ever thought about mixing metals, guys?
The one thing that I also want to mention is I honestly want to give kudos to this actor. Because if you look at Halbrand throughout the season, right, and you sort of see him, he's smiling more, and he's a little bit more cheery. Like, yeah, he shows up on a raft and he's down on his luck a little bit, but like when he gets to Numenor, he's like kind of happy, and when he's with Galadriel, like he's getting happy again, and then also when he's fighting, he seems like he's in a good mood all the time, and then when he reveals himself to Galadriel, you see his facial expressions just change. He gets more serious. He gets a little bit more down. Like his face is looking a little like mischievous. And I just think that the actor himself did a phenomenal job of, they did subvert our expectations with just showing us, the coven, think that the stranger is Sauron, but this actor himself also subverted our expectations with the way that he portrayed Halbrand, and then the way that he portrayed Sauron when he revealed himself. I thought that was perfect.
Yeah, I thought it was great, and like I also wondered. I mean, and this might be answered in the lore, so I don't dig too deep in the lore. But I'm like, when Halbrand said he's Sauron, does that mean he planned himself to be on this raft? Because he knew Galadriel would jump off and kind of orchestrated everything, or is he someone that really was Halbrand that was possessed by this spirit of some sort, like in the middle, like I kind of like was kind of thinking about that at the end, because like I was like, was he really at the beginning?
Yeah,
like all the way at the beginning, or like was it sort of a possession type thing?
Charlie Vickers, by the way, is the actor.
I think it was him at the beginning, and the clues that they drop throughout it make me think that, at least have me on board with that theory. He is very self-serving at almost every opportunity. Unless he knows, well, no, even still, if he can benefit himself long run by helping others, he will.
Yeah.
And it seems at every point where he's given the opportunity to do that, he takes it. And then if he's put in a position where it has to be him or someone else, it's him. The only time that was different was when he sacrificed himself and got hurt. And I think that was part of a plan to get to Aragion, and so it was self-serving. Again, I mean, it seemed to be his story kind of going through, and not to say that I guess from the beginning, because like I already admitted, no, it wasn't until the last episode, and I was like, oh, I know it's him now. But he was definitely high on my radar, whereas the stranger was never really high on my radar. Again, only because the lore and coming from the stars, the person who makes someone's ringing my doorbell. The person who sends Gandalf down is the person of the star. So
whoa, spoilers. Anyway,
it was written in his notes.
Justin, seriously, I didn't know it was Gandalf. Justin, did you know the stranger was Gandalf? Anyway, any final thoughts on this finale and all the reveals, Justin?
Wow. It really took you for a loop, right? Shareef said it right. There's a lot of story plots that were like shown throughout this show, and we were optimistic and kind of worrisome going into that finale, because coming out of Mordor being revealed from the 7th episode, we have a lot of story beats that haven't been tied down and really like completed for us, or at least solved some of them. And we got a lot of that. Still some open ends, obviously, but they did it in such a way that kept us going and wanting more. And right now we're like, next week, Friday, we got more episodes coming. No, but it really kept us going and involved. And that's what a show needs to do. This finale was not an end all be all for the entire story. They knew going into this that it was going to be a long show, 5 seasons. And to keep us involved throughout and questioning things all the way up until the end of the first season only makes us question more things going forward. That's what Game of Thrones does great, is you lose those characters you love, and then new characters are involved and you're questioning if they're going to be lost throughout most of that show. And that keeps you involved as a viewer. And that's what they're doing without that so-called murder or death of characters. There are some, but for the most part, it's the story beats that are doing it, which is just great writing. 100%. Looking forward to the next season. Can't wait. It's already started filming. Let's go.
All right. That was the finale. Gandalf was revealed. It's pretty clear that he is Gandalf, so we'll see kind of where he's going.
Star.
But Shareef, here's our task to fill out what season 2 is going to be. I want you to choose one character or one story beat, and I want you to tell us where it's going to go. Me, Joe, and Justin can't argue you. This is gospel. This is what's happening in season 2. So choose a story beat, and then Joe, you're going to choose a different one. Yep. Who do you want to choose?
Glare into the Silmaril. Tell me what you see.
I want to choose. Does it have to be one that existed in the season 1, or
in season 1? Yes, in season 1. Where do you see it going in season 2?
Okay, all right. I would like to choose Muriel. Because remember when she left, the Numenor was split. Like there were some people that wanted to help the elves and some that I did not. So I want to see her get back and sort of manage that situation. And I think what's going to happen is that she's going to attempt to get more involved, not be as isolated on the island on their own, because she saw firsthand. Well, I guess now she doesn't see, but she saw firsthand sort of what is going on, outside of a Numenor. So I think that she's gonna do her best to try to rally the troops to to be more involved in trying to save the Southland.
Yeah. All right, that's her story in season 2. Justin, choose your character wisely.
You can't argue.
No, you can't. No.
My character is the stranger, or Gandalf.
Okay.
He is going to go on this mission with Nori. Obviously, they're together, and find Durin's kingdom. He's going to find where they're mining the mithril, jump in with Nori, and go down to where the Balrog is and get eaten.
All right, cool. That's what's happening in season 2.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Joe, choose a character. You can't choose Nori and Stranger anymore. That is off the table.
I could choose Nori.
No. I'm combining.
That's okay.
them.
I don't want Nori. I want Galadriel.
All right.
Oh no! I made a bad choice.
Bye,
Galadriel.
I'm hopeful. So we
know she doesn't die.
We know
he just
she
said
die.
bye.
Neither
like
does
she's gone.
Gandalf.
Yeah, he does. Gandalf the Great. Okay.
Yeah.
So Galadriel, I need her story to change a bit. I need her story to get me going. So I need to see her struggle, and I need to see her overcome some big freaking obstacles in her path. So far, she hasn't really had to do anything. She knows how to fight. She's a really good fighter, apparently. She kind of knows what she wants. I need her to be lost. And I think that we're in a place where she's going to be completely and utterly lost. She doesn't know what to do. She, all of her everything, preconceived notions have just been rolled over, destroyed, tilled up, and now we get a new story. So she needs to become the Galadriel that we love and know. I don't really love her character regardless, but I need to love her. So I need her to be faced with more than Sauron. I need her to be faced with her friend Elrond. She has to go up against and explain why she lied to him and come back from that. She has to go to Gil-galad, explain why she betrayed him and come back from that. She needs to meet up, because we have to have a meetup here in season 2. Her and Elrond. She's going to be introduced to Durin in season 2, and he's not going to like her. And he's going to see right through her, and she's going to have to earn that trust from Durin. And in so doing, they will build her into a character that I enjoy, because she's going to have to overcome these obstacles and prove that she should be here and that we should care about what she's doing and why she's here. Because right now, do we care? That's where I'm at.
Dang it, I wish I didn't make the rules, because I don't think I can mention Elrond anymore, because you did.
No, you can't. I just said a meetup.
No, I combined the two. You can't.
Okay. I'll go with Sauron. So Elrond, by the way, I think Elrond is going to be Galadriel's like northern star. Like he's just going to be the person who is her confidant. But I'm going to choose Sauron. I really think that Sauron got a piece of Mithril at the end. In episode 8. We discussed that potential. Yeah, we discussed that potential in season 8, and I think that Sauron is going to experiment with the Mithril. And I also think that he is just going to completely demolish Adar and then just take over. Like I don't think Adar is a person in season 2. Like he's an elf in season 2.
I love him.
I don't know if he's going to play a huge role going forward with the reveal. So we'll see. We'll see where that happens. But I think the Mithril is key to Sauron going forward. I do think that he may have snuck a piece. That's my thought. So, all right, we'll go to our guest first. Out of 5, Shareef, season 1, your rating of season 1, 5 being amazing, 4 being great, 3 being good, 2 being okay, and 1 being bad.
Mm-hmm. Give it a 4. Give it a 4.
Great.
I think it. Yeah. Are we allowed to explain or just?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think it definitely started off not as well as I would like. And as I said, I had some issues with the stranger and stuff, but I think everything else outweighed that. And I think overall, I think if you're into fantasy in general, it's worth like checking out. Like it's and of course, it's the most beautiful thing that you can see as well.
100%. Justin, I'm going your way next.
I get to say it again about this show. It's definitely not a Halo 1. It is definitely a 5 for me. I thought it was visually one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. I feel like if the entire show was muted, I'd still enjoy it based on visuals alone. And the writing is just so perfect, not even mentioning the score and the cinematography elements. They put it all up to 11 on this show. And I felt like it really, really did a good job. And we received the finished product when it was ready. And story beats, even the ones that some people don't like, I enjoyed. So I felt like there's a 5 there for me. And I cannot wait. So thrilled, excited, and can't wait for season 2.
Joe.
It's a 4. It's a 4, but like it's a must watch. I think that even if you don't care about Lord of the Rings, you can enjoy this. I think that if you don't know anything about the story of Lord of the Rings, you'll probably enjoy it more. If you like high fantasy, if you like fantasy, if you like good relation building shows, if you enjoy action, if you enjoy good set pieces and good scores, and if you enjoy good TV, I can't imagine you having a bad time watching this show. I had my gripes with it. Obviously, we've talked about them. This is the 9th episode that we're talking about. So like I've had my issues with it, which is why it's not a 5. It's not perfect for me, but it's very, very good. It is a great show. And I think that you should watch it. That's my endorsement. Watch it. Like give it a shot. And if you hate it, like let me know. At me. I can handle it. I'm a big boy, but like, let me know. And then let me know why. Give me a good reason.
I don't know if you could take that smoke.
I mean, better than Muriel?
Oh, wow. Wow.
Okay.
Too soon.
Wow.
Her name's Daredevil now.
To be fair, that was fire that went into her eyes, not just smoke.
Pyroclastic cloud.
Anyway, this show is a 5 out of 5 for me. And I have some of the same like slowness concerns that Shareef has, but the reason why it doesn't go down to a 4 is because those visuals, those set pieces, the soundtrack, and even some of the smaller characters bring those slow episodes to that great for me. So like I don't think that it goes down. I do agree with you, Shareef, that some of the episodes were slow, but But yeah, we've said it before on every single review that we did for every single episode. If you're not watching this on a 4K TV, like, you're doing yourself a disservice. Try to get one, or go over to a friend's house and watch one, because it is absolutely stunning. As Justin said earlier in this podcast alone, it's probably the best looking thing that you will watch in 2022, let alone of all time. So, yeah, 5 out of 5 for me. That's been our season 1 recap. Man, Shareef, thank you so much for not only suggesting this, like we said at the top of the show, but joining us. And I had a blast having you back on the show, my friend. Where can we find you on the socials?
Yeah, always love hanging out with y'all. Thanks for the invitation. You can find me at ShareefJackson.com, ShareEF Jackson.com, and Shareef Jackson on all social networks.
All right. We'll have those
Easy
linked
peasy.
down below. Pretty simple enough. Justin, thanks for joining. Joe, thanks for joining as well. Follow us on socials at What the Fun Pod on Twitter and Facebook. And you could also connect with us. We have a business email, whatthefunpodcast@gmail.com. You could let us know how we're doing. But please, most importantly, actually, no. Second most importantly, leave a review for us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or comment down below on the YouTube video and subscribe to the channel. And then most importantly, share the show with a friend. Word of mouth is going to get our podcast even bigger. And so if you like the content here, please share with a friend. We would love to have new ears to speak nonsense about people getting blinded by fire too. So yeah. All right.
Cloud.
Yeah,
not
sure.
fire.
And
Okay.
when you want to share that with a friend, don't go in slow motion on horseback.
Superheated
Run.
volcanic ash.
Full speed.
Yeah, just
Go.
run.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. All right. Like Michael Myers, you would say, right? All right. For Justin, for
2018.
Joe. Nope. For Justin, for Joe, and for Shareef, our special guest. My name is Mike. This has been What the Fun Show. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.